Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Realm News. I hope you are all having a great week so far and have crafted amazing things or have been doing some amazing things in real life. Now, before I go much further, I need to explain right off the bat. You might be hearing a little bit of reverb with the sound. The quality of sound might sound different than the average typical show, and let me explain why. That's because since my now ex left me, a lot of the furniture is gone, and so my podcast desk is gone, and so I'm in a different room, and it's a bigger room, and the walls are more empty, so it's going to have a little bit more bounce back, meaning noise reverb, and it's not going to be horrible. You may not even be able to tell. So I probably shouldn't have even said anything. But I'm the type that likes to explain things. I'm a perfectionist. That's a character defect in me. But yeah, just wanted to say that. Anyways, if it sounds different, that's why I'm in a different room. I have to go get a desk, and then I'll be back, hopefully, to normal sound here soon. Anyways, moving on. You are probably, if you're new to the show, wondering who I am. I am the host, the Dark Lord, the one who puts the real in realm and expands your mind one block at a time. If you all remember, a few weeks ago, I released an episode titled Spark of Civilization, Campfires, Flint and Steel in History, and Minecraft. In that episode, I mentioned that I was going to do a series over light in Minecraft. I started with the most primitive way, with the campfire. Now, I am finally making the next episode in the light series over torches. We will examine how prehistoric people made torches, what they used them for, and when they were using them. After we finish the real segment, we will then transition into the realm, where we will learn about the history of the Minecraft torch, how to craft one, and all its uses. That will be all after poll time, which is where we are going next, folks. So, when you are ready, let's get the show started. It's poll time! Just kidding. Welcome to what would be poll time. Let me explain. Today is unique. I forgot to include the poll part to my question. That is the first time that I've ever done that. We will be doing things a bit differently today as a response to my absent-mindedness. Instead, I received a ton of comments, 87 to be precise, that I am going to read off to you all. Well, not all 87 of them. That would be a little bit too much, but I'm going to read off a fair amount. I apologize that I do not have a poll for you all. I was going to just read these comments and tally them myself, but many of these comments are not categorizable in a poll, at least, or the one I was going to design. Actually, reading through them, they were all just different. I would like to start with a person called Missborn89, who says, quote, gold carrots give better saturation and are cheaper to craft. Gold apples, on the other hand, give absorption, extra hearts for 2 minutes, and regen for like 5 seconds. So I'd say golden carrots for normal food and golden apples for bigger battles / emergency healing, end quote. They're spot on in their logic. I love how they weighed the benefits between the two items and explain which is best used for a specific type of job. Carrots are cheaper to craft and great for your everyday tasks like meandering the overworld wilds, and golden apples are great for battle, where you are more likely to sustain heavy damage. I must say that you, my friend, are a wealthy player. I eat beef. I don't eat gold-laden objects. I love that comment, and I look forward to seeing more from you in future polls. Well, that is if I remember to attach the poll to the question, that is. My next comment comes from Severe-Pineapple7918, who says, quote, golden carrots for just doing regular stuff. Golden apples for hard fights. With a good gold farm, you can easily rock a stack of both at all times. End quote. Folks, I am seeing a pattern emerge here. Again, we have a fellow who says that they use golden carrots for everyday light tasks and those expensive to craft golden apples for intense battles. They also mention that a solid gold farm will easily get you stacks of gold fast, which is necessary for crafting gold carrots and apples. I would really like a gold farm, and I think that will be the next farm that I will build in my realm. Thank you, Severe-Pineapple 7918. The next comment I have comes from My Ho Despawned, who says, quote, I mean, if I didn't have to worry about the price of apples, but carrots are far more reasonable, end quote. I hear ya, my friend, but I am even worse. I craft neither of these golden delectables. I'm too cheap. But if I were to craft gold-laden food, it would be the more economical golden carrot for sure. Thank you, Severe-Pineapple 7918. Please make sure to comment on future polls. Sorry, I got the wrong person mixed up there. My Ho Despawned. Not Severe Pineapple 7918. My Ho Despawned. Thank you for that comment, and I apologize for accidentally getting the name mixed in there. Please make sure to go comment on future polls, please. The next comment I have is from Carter G4, who says, quote, always the carrots. They're very easy to make and aren't overkill for regular consumption like golden apples. Great comment, and I believe they are saying that the golden apple just delivers too much and is only needed for special situations like battling the Wither or Ender Dragon, unlike the carrot, which is more appropriate for daily tasks and risks. Or that's what I gathered from that comment. Thank you, Carter G4. Next person is ThinMan12345, who says, quote, golden carrots simply because villagers trade them, end quote. This is a great comment because it's true. Master level farmers have a chance of trading gold carrots. I have yet to do so, but that is a good reminder of where to get gold carrots. Great comment, ThinMan12345. It was very informative. Please comment again on a future poll. My next commenter goes by Philosoph Or, who says, quote, gapples all day if you have a villager farm and a gold farm, end quote. I have to admit that I chuckled at that very creative matching of the two words. Golden apple and a gapple. I thought it was very clever, but I guess it's a common phrase. So we know that they love the gapple, and I'm going to help spread that word by calling the golden apple the gapple from here on out. They go on to say this in our conversation thread next. Quote, gapple is a common term for golden apples in the MC community. If you've got the farms, they're easy to keep in stock, but you've got to have all the farms set up to make it possible. But you'll never beat a gapple with any other food. Just wiki it, end quote. That's good to know. I can't believe I haven't heard of the word gapple before in all the research I've done in the past year and a half plus. Thank you, Philosoph OR. Please drop a comment again in the future, and I love the new word that I can add to my vocabulary. My next commenter is a familiar name to Realm News. You would know them if you are a veteran listener of the show for sure. I am talking about Big Into Science. They are a longtime commenter to the show, and this is what they have to say about the question. Quote, they're for different things. One is good food. One is semi-emergency healing. It's a bit like asking someone to pick between hamburgers and first aid kits, end quote. I guess I didn't think about that before. That is a very interesting way to look at those food items. Thank you for that distinction. Big Into Science goes on to say, quote, I like to catch, quote unquote, wild zombie villagers and cure them. And one of my first few villagers I get is usually a farmer, as one cured from a zombie will usually trade you 1 emerald for 1 pumpkin and / or 1 melon. Since their last trade will always be golden carrots, and you can get plenty of pumpkins / melons with just a patch of them you keep by the village and harvest now and then. That means I have easy golden carrot access pretty early. They're usually my main food, with an occasional stack of cooked meat mixed in. Golden apples I only rarely craft, as I don't use them super often, and I therefore often have enough just from structured chess. I bring them along if I'm doing something dangerous, like killing the wither in a non-cheese way, and then half the time I wind up not using them anyways. End quote. I love this answer, and I must admit that I have never cured a zombie villager before, and I must admit that I've never traded for golden carrots before either. I have a list of Minecraft things I need to get crossed off, apparently. I have heard online that many people take gapples to go fight bosses like the dragon, Ender Dragon, or the Wither, as they mentioned in their comment. I am pretty sure that I have mentioned this in previous episodes, but I tend to not use my gold to craft gold food like the apple or the gapple. However, I think I will start to trade for the golden carrots because that sounds very practical. As you all know, I use all my gold for power rail construction. Thank you very much, Big Into Science, for those great comments. I always love seeing them in the feed. With that said, I would like to wrap up poll time or comment time and go ahead and move into the next segment of the show, which is what we call the Reel, where I will bring us back in time, way back in time, to an era where we humans were getting around the dark with torches. Yes, torches, just like in Minecraft. So, when you are ready, let's make that transition into the Reel. Last night, as I ate my dinner, I had on TV a somewhat famous movie called The Grey, starring the infamous actor Liam Neeson. There is a scene in that movie, somewhere towards the middle of it, where the survivors who are being hunted down by a pack of wolves had made a fire and torches. I thought this was interesting that they naturally thought to make torches. Of course, they needed the light, and obviously it didn't hurt to have the warmth from the flames in that cold atmosphere. But it made me think, how long have humans been using torches? That's when the research began, and I found some interesting information that I'm going to pass along to you. I struggled to find specific articles specifically over torches, but I did find an interesting article found at AIP.org titled "Scientists Recreate Stone Age Lamps and Torches to See How Ancient Artists Illuminated Caves," written by Charles Q. Choi and published on June 16, 2021. It says that artwork has been created in caves for thousands of years, and this provides a great testing area for determining what form of fire they use for light in order to paint. 336 meters or 1,102 feet back in the Bruniquel Cave in France, there are paintings left by Neanderthals that date back to around 176,000 years ago. But human activity in caves may date back to 400,000 years ago. It makes a person wonder why the paintings are there, and how were the Neanderthals able to paint and navigate around deep, dark caves? Well, a group of scientists set out to find the best method for painting in a dark cave in prehistoric conditions. The team of scientists tested 3 different methods of firelight in a different cave in another European country. The Insunza 1 cave in the Basque region of Spain. They tested 3 different methods of firelight to determine which was the best: a simple stone oil lamp, a fireplace, and a torch. I shall start with the fireplace. The fireplace was quickly ruled out. As soon as it was lit, the fire billowed out large amounts of smoke that forced them to extinguish it in 30 minutes. So the fireplace, that method for providing light in an enclosed space wasn't great. Don't ever light fire in an enclosed space. Next, let's talk about the simple oil lamp. They use sandstone because it is a very soft stone, and it's easy to carve. And they were able to carve out a small impression or an indent into that. Then they added animal fat or grease fat into it and lit it. The oil lamp was actually a success. It produced nearly no smoke, and the flame lasted for 40 minutes, which isn't bad. They say that its luminosity was roughly equivalent to a candle, and it was able to cast a glow or its light at 3 feet in diameter, or 0.91 meters of light in diameter. The only problem with the stone oil lamp was that it didn't cast light underneath it, so it was only as good as it was able to be lowered. I guess it's a good thing that they were not painting the floors, right? The stone oil lamp was the most likely method for the cave paintings, the walls, because of the lack of smoke, simply. It could stay lit for a long time, and it produced adequate enough light. The torch, on the other hand, is very smoky, and it requires the person holding it to move it or keep the torch in motion in order to oxygenate it. If you don't keep moving, then the torch will suffocate and go out. However, the torch was able to beat the stone oil lamp in light intensity. Researchers were able to keep the torch lit for 40 minutes, so it tied with the duration of time before it burned out with the stone oil lamp, but it can cast light at twice the diameter of the stone oil lamp, 6 feet in diameter or 1.8 meters. Next, I thought it was fascinating to learn how they made torches in the experiment. Let me tell you how they were created. They made them with juniper branches, birch bark, pine resin, ivy vines, and deer and cow bone marrow. Learning that type of stuff, how prehistoric people were able to create sophisticated tools such as this torch, these different, not ingredients, but different types of materials, it just amazes me. They also say that using a bundle of sticks to create a torch is the best method as opposed to a singular stick when lit on fire. This makes sense to me. The twigs or multiple branches feed off each other. I must say that the torches in Minecraft must have a strong pine resin to keep them glowing literally forever. I thought that was all very fascinating to learn. I would like to now tell you all a more sinister side of torches as opposed to them being used by our early ancestors to create cave paintings. Torches were actually a weapon of mass destruction in ancient times all the way into the modern. According to Sarah E. Bond's blog post titled The History of Torches, Intimidation, and Symbols of Violence, torches were not only used for light and in ceremonial events such as weddings, but they were used to cause mass destruction by burning down entire cities. City rulers, apartment dwellers, and emperors were scared of the torch because this would cause much devastation if a riot broke out. In fact, the rioters had a special torch called fax, like the machine. Fax in Latin means torch or firebrand, according to Latin-is-simple.com. Allow me to quote from this blog. Quote, following the assassination of Caesar, and I'm back to the Sarah E. Bonds blog, sorry. Quote, following the assassination of Caesar in 44 BCE, the citizens in Rome who gathered in the Forum to hear Antony's eulogy grabbed pieces of wood and furniture in the area in order to make an ad hoc pyre upon which to burn the dictator's body. Many present at the cremation then grabbed pieces of flaming wood as torches from the pyre. As the historian Plutarch noted, quote, people rushed up from all sides, snatched up half-burnt brands, and ran round to the houses of Caesar's slayers to set them on fire, end quote, end quote. Fascinating. Not only did ancient mobs wield torches, but nasty groups in modern times, such as the KKK, have been known to brandish these destructive devices along with Nazis, as in the example of Hitler marching through Wilhelmstrasse in Berlin, January 30th, 1933, in the torchlight procession. But torches are not all evil. No, it just depends on the people using them, like all things. In fact, I bet you have already thought of a torch that I haven't mentioned yet, and you have probably been waiting for me to say it. I'm referring to the Olympic torch. And yes, I will be explaining that today. Unfortunately, you will not like the origin story of the Olympic torch. The Olympic torch symbolizes peace and unity these days. That is probably what you grew up knowing it as. It travels around the world, being relayed from one person to the next until it reaches its final destination, which signifies the beginning of the Summer or Winter Olympic Games. However, you would never guess that the Olympic torch does not derive from ancient Greece. I had thought my entire life that the torch and the relay of it was an ancient Greek tradition, until I did the research on the torch and the Olympic torch specifically, and I found out that it has a horrible origin story. Like horrible. And I am quite disgusted to report that the Nazis were the ones responsible for creating this tradition. Oh my gosh. It was fully funded by the Hitler Nazi regime and his sycophants, the Nazi Party. According to History.com's article titled The Olympic Torch Relays Surprising Nazi Origins, written by Christopher Klein, it states that the ancient Greeks did have a ritual fire, but it wasn't in the form of a torch being passed along by runner after runner in a relay. This was the invention of a man named Carl Diem, who surprisingly was not directly affiliated with the Nazi Party. However, Carl Diem was instrumental in granting the city of Berlin, in Germany, the Summer Olympics in 1936. Hitler actually did not approve of the Olympic Games, but his propaganda minister Goebbels persuaded him to allow them to be the host of the Olympics because he saw it as being instrumental in their Nazi propaganda around the world. Also, this was a way to link ancient Greece to the Aryan Nazis, or at least that is how the Nazi propaganda machine wanted to spin it. The first ever Olympic torch relay began on July 20th, 1936 in Olympia, Greece, and was started by a runner named Konstantinos Kadilis. It was a 12-day run from Olympia, Greece to Berlin, Germany. Propagandist Chief Goebbels made sure that there was plenty of footage of the entire torch relay so he could use it to create, well, you guessed it, more and more propaganda. Just like how Trump pushes his propaganda in America these days, the same thing was going on back in Nazi Germany. In fact, he commissioned director Leni Riefenstahl to film it as part of Olympia, the Nazi propaganda film released in 1938, end quote. They were serious about pushing their agenda and capitalizing on this moment. They had a spare torch lit in a motorcade that followed the runner just in case it went out. But it was unlikely that the flame would extinguish in mid-run because they had German arms manufacturer Krupp create the metal, steel-clad torch that had a magnesium design element to it that kept the flame from extinguishing no matter the weather conditions, rain or snow, shine, whatever, wind. They even had a German optic company design a mirror that was used to light the flame. The flame ended in Berlin, held by a Nazi, and that is the story of the first Olympic torch relay. Fortunately, today, the symbolism of the Olympic torch does not stand for fascism or Nazism, but it stands for peace and unity around the world. I think it is always good to know the true origin story of traditions to really see where they came from. It makes you see things in a different light. I choose to see the Olympic torch as its current symbol for peace and unity. And I choose to remember that it derived from horrible origins in the hope that we do not let it go back to that place ever again. As they say, if you do not understand history, then you are doomed to repeat it. Or that is at least how I paraphrase it. I would like to wrap up the real segment there for today. Not the lightest note, but at least we know a little history to the torch. Let's now move on to the realm, where I will tell you all about the Minecraft torch. Welcome to the realm, my friends, where I link the real-world torch that we just discussed with the Minecraft torch. I think it goes without saying that you all know what the Minecraft torch is. It is that very iconic item that has existed in the game since the beginning. That monochrome piece of wood that has been burning a warm orange glow at the end since the beginning of Minecraft time. It was surely your first light source that you crafted upon entering the overworld. It was mine for sure. I use torches like crazy wherever I travel in the overworld. It is probably my most crafted item if I truly think about it. I mentioned this in my book, Torvingi in the Village of Alp, that I placed down a stone and then a torch on top to make cairns. I leave these illuminary cairns as I travel into new territories so I can find my way back like Hansel and Gretel used breadcrumbs to mark their way. This is a tried and true method for me, and I know that I'm not alone in doing this. I use torches for lighting buildings, my villages, roads, and perimeters of all things. They are extremely useful for preventing hostile mobs from spawning. But what is the origin story of the Minecraft torch? Well, let's start there, shall we? According to Minecraft.wiki, on May 16, 2009, Marcus Persson, aka Notch, suggested adding torches that could, quote-unquote, light up a 3x3 tile. These were finally put into the game in InDev.31, technically called 200912223-1457. Not a fun name to say, but that is when the torch was officially put in the overworld, all the way back in the pre-classic days. And the rest is history. Not much to really report on the torch since its inception, except for that it had a few alterations in its design, but nothing significant. Now let's discuss how to craft the torch. It's super simple, and it only takes one stick and either one piece of charcoal or coal, and that will yield 4 torches. They are rather economical because charcoal is a renewable resource that can be made by burning wood with wood in a furnace. Just wood with wood. You can also use torches after they are made to craft a couple other items. For example, if you carve a pumpkin and combine that with a torch, you will have a jack-o'-lantern. And you can do all sorts of things with jack-o'-lanterns. Go check out my pumpkin episodes. If you combine 8 iron nuggets with a torch, you will have a lantern, which I love lanterns for their aesthetic appeal. Also, you may stumble upon torches in the overworld that are found naturally. Let me tell you where you can find them. A mine shaft has a 65% chance of having between 1 to 16 torches. The trial chambers have a couple of places where torches can be found. The supply chest has a 20.4% chance of providing 3 to 6 torches, which is the same amount of torches that can be found in the corridor chest in the trial chambers. But this only has a 19.6% chance of spawning 3 to 6 torches there. One last spot you can check for is at villages, savanna villages, I should say, which have 11.3% chance of spawning in a chest. But I've also seen torches used as street lights, especially in my snowy biome villages. That's not mentioned in this wiki, but you should all know that. I think many villages have torches around. Torches are also very breakable. You just need your bare hands to remove them. They provide a light level of 14, which is great because a max in Minecraft is 15. So it's nearly as bright as a Minecraft sun. They will also melt snow cover when placed onto snow and within 2 blocks from it. It will also melt ice up to 3 blocks away. Torches can be placed on the tops and sides of most opaque blocks. This allows you to light up nearly every meter of space in Minecraft. I am sure you are all very familiar with the torch mechanics, so I'm going to leave it there today with torches. I hope that you all found this episode to be interesting. I know it wasn't the longest episode, but it was important. It was just an important one to cover because it is part of the light series that follows campfires. Next will be the lamp, whenever I get to that. I wish you all a great day, a week, and happy crafting. And don't forget, for you Patreon members, the Copper Plus tiers, to stay tuned for after this jingle because it goes into the Dark Lord's Hour, where I just give my opinion on the show. So stay tuned for that.